Radio Arts Foundation is dedicated to growing the fine arts, performing arts, and cultural community in St. Louis. Radio Arts Foundation board members Michael Scully and Babette are here today to talk about an upcoming event, a really great event coming up. But before we get into it, I kind of want to just sort of set the stage. I mean, when we think about classical music, you can turn your dial to 107.3 and hear a great station, great classical music, opera, and more. Tell us a bit more about the Radio Arts Foundation, Michael. We'll start off with that and what people can hear when they switch that dial.
Well, the Radio Arts Foundation is really one of the newest entrants into the amazing cultural scene of St. Louis. It was founded really when the only classical station we had went off the air in 2010. A group of citizens got together and said, we really need classical music here. So the Radio Arts Foundation was born, and it went on the air in 2013. It can be found on 107.3, but also on 96.3 HD2, which is even a better sound for the music. So what we play is enormous range of classical music, but also a lot of jazz, blues, and even some opera. So we give a wide range, and it's interesting because it's a community asset in the sense that we do lots of interviews with other arts organizations, performers, talk about different genres, and just kind of expand as a community resource, a non-for-profit public institution.
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, I will be driving at night, as you mentioned, like the blues show and Turn It On or jazz show. You can get that in the weekends and the evenings and during the day. I think it's fantastic. Programming, I mean, let's speak more broadly about the mission. I mean, Michael mentioned how when KFUO went off the air and people really thought classical music has gone off the airs, what's more broadly than the airwaves, what's kind of at the core of the mission of the Radio Arts Foundation?
The mission is to make sure that the arts are represented all across the board. That's something we wanted to go and be actually a little more than KFUO had been, and not just play music, but also represent all the different art forms and give people a place where that they could take and put their stuff out there, if you will. And we do that through interviews and other programming that we have.
That's great. So we've got this event coming up on, what's the date, September 14th. Tell me more about it. Wine and jazz, the two go hand in hand perfectly.
Well, yes, again, we want people to know that classical music isn't the only thing we do. So this is the second year we've had this event. It was such a success last year. Last year we were kind of putting our toe in the water to see how it went. It was very well received. So this year it's going to be at the Butterfly House. And there's going to be live jazz performed, and there'll be wine and great food, and part of it will be on the inside. You can go inside to the conservatory and see the butterflies, but if you want to do that, you've got to get there before it's dark because they don't allow any artificial light. So then the rest of it will be completely outside.
Okay, it's great. And so we've got the performers and just selection of wine. People can just kind of sample different wines.
Yes.
Okay.
Miss Jubilee and the Humdingers
yes.
are going to entertain everyone, and we think it should be a really good time.
Yeah, and a great fundraiser. I mean, where do you see sort of the next, I mean, it's media right now, it's a complicated area, right? I mean, there's so much, there's Sirius Radio and HD and all these things. I mean, where would you like to see Radio Arts Foundation, you know, over the years go and its role in St. Louis?
Well, that's a wonderful assessment because it is different. A lot of cities, the classical music is gone by the wayside. So it's so nice to see this really on an upswing here in St. Louis, Missouri. And what I particularly like about it is the educational component. So when you listen to our on-air personalities, they're really students of classical music. And every time I listen, I actually learn something because they know so much about it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm a big fan. I mean, I was telling you, I think Tom Suttle is great. I think so many of the hosts. It's a real great station in town. It's a pleasure to listen to, and it's great to have you here. We've got more information there for you on the screen to check it out. It's the Wine and Jazz Under the Stars event coming up on September 14th. Go enjoy a glass of wine, get some wine samples, listen to some live jazz. It's taking place from 6 to 9 p.m. at the Butterfly House at Faust Park out in Chesterfield. For more information, go to rafstl.org. You see the slash there for wine and jazz. But if you also just head to the site, you can learn more about the programming, all the different programming they have each day. So you can pick and choose whether you want to hear opera at one time or jazz or blues. But just head to the website again, rafstl.com. And thank you both for being here and taking time. I know
thank
out
you
of
for
your busy
having us.
schedules, but it's great to have you here to talk more about the station.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Well, we've got more STL Live coming up right after this. Please stay with us.